This story revolves around three lives: Amara, Daniel, and Lena. Daniel is a man living not one, but two lives. On the surface, he is charming, confident, and successful. But beneath that polished image lies a manipulator, selfish, dishonest, and emotionally ruthless. He toys with Amara's dreams while crushing the trust of his wife, Lena. In the name of love, he offers betrayal; in the name of truth, he spreads lies. Daniel is the central antagonist of this story. Amara is a soft-hearted young woman who believes deeply in love. With Daniel, she dreams of a beautiful future, built on trust, commitment, and shared happiness. But when the truth is revealed and betrayal shakes her world, Amara does not break. Through pain and heartbreak, she transforms into a strong, self-aware, and fearless woman, one who now understands not just love, but her own worth. On the other side stands Lena, Daniel's wife. At first, she is consumed by anger, pain, and disbelief. Her home, her trust, her reality, everything has shattered. But with time, she realizes that the real enemy is not another woman, but Daniel's life built on lies. Lena chooses clarity over denial and stands beside Amara. Together, they become a symbol of truth, courage, and the unstoppable strength of women. And now, this is where our story begins. Amara Naya never imagined that one simple morning could shatter her world completely. She stood in the middle of the city's most luxurious car showroom, staring at a brand-new red sports car gleaming under the bright lights, a symbol of dreams she had never dared to dream. Daniel, her boyfriend, was smiling confidently, holding the keys out to her. "This is for you, Amara," he said, voice low but intense. "You are the most important part of my life." Her heart raced uncontrollably, her hands trembling as she reached for the keys. Just 2 years ago, she had struggled to pay rent, survived on a tiny salary, and now this man she trusted completely, was presenting her with something she could barely comprehend. Cameras clicked. People clapped. Phones recorded every second of the moment, but Amara barely noticed anyone else. Her mind was consumed with disbelief and joy. Daniel stepped closer, his eyes locked onto hers. "You are my future," he whispered. "Everything I have is yours." Every word felt like a promise carved into her soul. She believed him without question, every smile, every word, every gesture seemed to prove his love. But fate had already decided to intervene. The glass doors of the showroom slammed open with a sudden force that silenced the room. A woman walked in, heels clicking sharply against the marble floor, her posture rigid and her eyes burning with fury. She stopped in front of Daniel, ignoring Amara completely, and spoke in a voice that cut through the air like steel. "Daniel," she said coldly, "why are you buying a car, for someone else? Without asking your wife?" Amara froze. Daniel's confident expression vanished, leaving only pale shock and panic. The keys slipped from her hands, hitting the floor with a sharp clatter. Her chest tightened, and the reality hit her like a lightning bolt. Wife? He had a wife? Daniel opened his mouth, stumbled, tried to explain, but no words came out. Amara's world had collapsed in a single moment. The gift, the promises, the smiles, all lies. And in that instant, Amara realized something terrifying. The life she had imagined, the man she loved, the dreams she clung to, they were all built on a foundation of deceit. Amara's hands were still shaking as she backed away from Daniel, her mind racing faster than her heartbeat. The woman, Lena, stood there like a storm, eyes blazing with fury and disbelief. She didn't care about the crowd, the flashing cameras, or even Amara herself. Her world had just been broken, and she wanted Daniel to feel every second of it. 6 years, Daniel, she spat, voice sharp enough to cut glass. 6 years, and you think you can just throw it all away for her? Daniel opened his mouth, his carefully constructed confidence cracking. "Lena, wait. Please." "It's not like that," he stammered, but Lena wasn't listening. She stepped closer, pointing at Amara, and her voice grew louder. "And you? You think you're his future? You're nothing but a lie he's feeding to cover his shame." Amara felt her chest tighten, the room spinning around her. She had been living in a dream that was never real. The man she had trusted with her heart, the promises, the gifts, they were all built on deception. And yet, Lena's words didn't make her feel hate. No, they made her feel the raw truth, the fire of betrayal, but also a strange clarity. Daniel's voice cracked as he pleaded, "Amara, listen to me. I love you. I was going to fix everything. I was going to tell you. Please, don't leave like this." Amara looked at him, really looked at him. The confident, charming man she knew had vanished. All that remained was fear, fear of losing control, fear of being exposed, fear of facing the consequences of his lies. She bent down, picked up the car keys, and placed them gently on the counter. "I don't want this," she said softly, but firmly. Her voice carried through the stunned silence of the showroom. Daniel's panic grew. "Amara, don't do this. Please. You're my future." "If you were my future," she said, her eyes locked on his, "then I wouldn't be standing here like a mistake you created for yourself." She turned and walked toward the exit, every step a reclaiming of herself. Daniel called her name, but she didn't stop. Her heart ached, but in that pain, a spark of strength was igniting. She realized something terrifying and beautiful at the same time: she didn't need him, and she didn't need anyone who could treat her like a secret. Lena watched Amara leave. For the first time, she didn't see a rival. She saw someone who had been hurt, someone who had been blindsided by the same man she had trusted. A strange sense of solidarity passed between the two women in that brief, silent moment. Outside, the city continued unaware, but for Amara, nothing would ever be the same. The nightmare had begun, and she had no choice but to face it head-on. Amara thought walking away would end it. She was wrong. The moment she stepped outside, her phone buzzed non-stop. Daniel. Dozens of missed calls, messages flooding in. "Amara, please, you don't understand. Lena and I are already done. I was going to tell you everything. Please, don't leave." Her hands shook as she read them, every word slicing through her like a knife. Finished? If he was finished, then why had Lena stormed the showroom? Why had the world just collapsed around her? For a moment, she wanted to delete the messages, shut the phone, and disappear. But curiosity, fear, and the lingering attachment pulled her back. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Why are you doing this to me?" she whispered. "Because I love you," Daniel said, voice low, almost pleading. "Lena doesn't understand me. She never did. You do." Amara's chest tightened. "Then why didn't you leave her?" A pause. "I was going to. It's complicated. You don't understand." Excuses flowed like poison. That car, the gifts, they were all proof. "I was choosing you." Her hands tightened into fists. "So I was your secret?" she asked quietly, a tremor in her voice. "No," he said quickly. "You were my future." But every word felt hollow, a hollow echo of promises that had never existed. The next day, Daniel showed up outside her apartment, uninvited, flowers in hand, looking desperate and almost broken. Neighbors peeked from windows as he called her name. "Please, just listen," he begged when she opened the door. Amara crossed her arms, keeping her distance. "You lied to me for 2 years. You let me dream about a life that was never real," she said firmly. He stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. "I can fix this. I'll talk to Lena. I promise. You're the only one I want." Amara stared into his eyes and saw no love, only fear. Fear of losing control, fear of exposure, fear of consequences. "Don't come here again," she said. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have let me stand here like this, believing in lies." Daniel froze for a second, then turned away, mask of confidence returning. Amara watched him leave, her chest heavy with pain, but somewhere deep inside, a spark of strength was growing. She realized something crucial: this pain, this betrayal, was not her end, it was her awakening. For the first time, she understood the terrifying power of walking away from someone who could never be trusted. And she vowed, silently, that she would never let anyone break her again. Amara thought she could escape the chaos by keeping distance, but fate had other plans. A few days later, she found herself wandering a quiet city park, trying to think, to breathe, to make sense of everything. The air was heavy with tension, and the sun hung low, casting long shadows over the benches. She almost didn't notice the woman sitting alone, her posture stiff, fingers gripping a handbag tightly. There was something painfully familiar about her, something that made Amara stop dead in her tracks. It was Lena. Their eyes met, and for the first time, neither spoke. The silence was deafening, loaded with anger, betrayal, and the weight of the lies they had both suffered through. Lena's gaze softened slightly, a strange mixture of pain and exhaustion in her eyes. "You don't have to hate me," Lena said quietly, almost to herself. Amara's throat tightened. Hate? She had expected confrontation, accusations, maybe even threats. But this? This was something entirely different. "I didn't know," Amara admitted, voice trembling slightly. "He never told me." Lena's lips pressed into a thin line. "I know," she said. "I convinced myself for years that he would change, that our marriage mattered. And yet, here we are. Two women destroyed by the same man." Amara felt an unfamiliar sympathy stirring inside her. Lena was not the enemy, Daniel was. "He's a liar," Amara said softly. "He used both of us. He's not worth either of our pain." Lena nodded, tears brimming in her eyes but her voice steady. "You're right. But the hardest part is realizing it too late. You have to protect yourself. Don't let him manipulate you." For the first time, Amara realized her strength. She didn't need to compete with Lena, didn't need to feel weak or powerless. They were both victims, yes, but now they had clarity. Standing there, in that quiet park, Amara understood that walking away was not just survival, it was reclaiming her life. And maybe, just maybe, she could help Lena see the truth too. They sat together silently for a few minutes, two strangers connected by the same betrayal. No words could fix what Daniel had broken, but a quiet understanding passed between them. Amara whispered, "Thank you, for telling me." Lena nodded, a small, weary smile on her lips, and in that moment, Amara felt the first flicker of hope in weeks. The city lights began to glow as evening fell, and Amara realized something terrifying and exhilarating at the same time. This confrontation, this unexpected alliance, was only the beginning. The storm was far from over, and the next choices she made would define her forever. Amara thought distance would protect her, but Daniel had other plans. The next morning, her phone erupted with calls and messages. Every notification screamed his name, demanding attention, apologizing, pleading, and threatening all at once. "Amara, please. Don't do this. I can fix everything. You're the only one I want. Lena doesn't understand me. She never did. Please." Her hand shook as she read them. He was relentless. By noon, he appeared at her apartment door, uninvited, flowers in hand, eyes wild with desperation. "Please, Amara, just listen," he begged. His charm, once comforting, now felt like a weapon, precise and dangerous. Amara's chest tightened. She had loved this man once. She had trusted him. But now every word from his mouth felt like a trap. "You lied to me," she shouted, finally breaking the quiet tension. 2 years of lies. You let me dream about a life that never existed." Daniel stepped closer, dangerously calm. "Amara, listen. You don't understand. I'm trying to fix it. I'll leave Lena. I'll be honest with you. Please, don't throw us away." Amara stared, fury and disbelief coursing through her veins. "Honest?" she spat. "You call this honesty? You parade gifts, you tell me sweet lies, you pretend your life is mine, but all along you're hiding her, your wife, your other life." Daniel's hands trembled, his confidence slipping. "It's not like that. I love you. I only want you. Amara's gaze hardened. Love? You don't even know the meaning of it. Love doesn't hurt this much. Love doesn't destroy people for selfish reasons. You've built your entire life on lies, and I was just another piece of your game. Daniel's face darkened, and suddenly his desperation morphed into menace. You think you can walk away? You think I'll let this go? His voice dropped, low and threatening. Amara's heart pounded, but instead of fear, clarity and rage surged through her. She realized something crucial: she didn't need to run anymore. She didn't need to plead or forgive. She could stand, confront, and reclaim her life. With slow, deliberate steps, she moved past him, looking him straight in the eyes. I'm done being part of your lies, she said. You can scream, threaten, beg, nothing will change this. I choose me. Daniel froze, unaccustomed to being denied, to being powerless. Amara turned and walked away, each step echoing like a declaration. No one, not even the man she loved, could control her anymore. That night, as Amara stood by her window, watching the city lights flicker, she realized that the storm was far from over. Daniel would try again, of course, but she had tasted freedom, clarity, and strength. The nightmare was not ending, it was evolving, and she was ready to face it head-on. Amara had thought she was alone in this storm, but Lena had reached out quietly that evening. The message was simple: meet me. We need to talk. Alone. Curiosity mixed with wariness pulled Amara to the agreed cafe, where Lena was already seated, her posture tense but determined. The air between them was heavy, thick with shared pain and unspoken truths. You're stronger than you know, Lena said without preamble. Daniel, he's dangerous when cornered. I've seen it. He doesn't care who he hurts as long as he gets what he wants. Amara's jaw tightened. I already know, she said softly. But I don't understand. Why me? Why involve me in this? Lena's eyes flashed with anger. Because you matter to him in a way I never did. Or maybe, he just wanted to see how far he could push someone else. Either way, we can't let him manipulate us any longer. They sat in silence for a moment, the hum of the cafe around them fading into nothing. Then Lena leaned closer, voice dropping to a whisper. There's something you don't know. Daniel, he's been hiding more than just me. He's been lying to everyone in his life. Business partners, family, friends, he's a master manipulator. And he's counting on you to stay blind. Amara felt a shiver run down her spine. So this isn't just about love, it's about control? Yes, Lena replied. And we need to take back control before it's too late. You and I, together, we can expose him. Make sure he can't hurt anyone else like he hurt us. For the first time in weeks, Amara felt a spark of hope. She realized that this wasn't just about surviving Daniel's lies. It was about facing him, fighting back, and reclaiming her life fully. The two women exchanged a silent nod, an unspoken pact forming in that cafe booth. Allies in a war that had been waged against them both, a war Daniel had started but would no longer control. Later that night, as Amara returned home, her mind was racing. She knew Daniel would try again. He always did. But now she had Lena's support, insight into his patterns, and her own inner strength sharpened by betrayal. For the first time, she wasn't just reacting, she was planning. And she was ready to strike back in the only way that mattered, with truth, courage, and unbreakable resolve. The storm was no longer looming, it had begun. And Amara was standing at its center, unafraid. The next day, Amara and Lena put their plan into motion. Daniel, confident as always, had no idea what was coming. He had assumed fear and love would keep Amara under his control, but he had underestimated her. They started quietly, collecting evidence of his lies, messages, proof of manipulation, and the twisted patterns he had created in both their lives. Each piece was a nail in the coffin of his carefully constructed illusion. That evening, Amara agreed to meet Daniel at a neutral location, a place he considered safe, believing he could charm his way back into her life. He smiled as she arrived, holding out his arms, rehearsed apologies ready. Amara. I can fix this. I love you. Please, don't shut me out. Amara's gaze was cold, sharp, unyielding. Love, she repeated, voice trembling with controlled fury. You don't even know the meaning of it. You call this love? She held up her phone, showing him a full folder of messages, secrets, lies, and videos, proof of everything he had done. This is the truth. Every lie, every betrayal. And today, it ends. Daniel's confident expression faltered. His lips parted, words failing. Amara, it's not what it looks like. It is what it looks like, Lena interrupted, stepping out of the shadows with a folder of her own, revealing his manipulations, the secret meetings, the lies to friends and family. You think you could play us forever, Daniel? Think again. We both trusted you. We both believed in you. And now, you are out of chances. The air was electric. Daniel's face twisted with rage, fear, and disbelief. He lunged forward, but Amara and Lena stood firm, unshaken. For the first time, he realized he had lost control, not just of them, but of the entire web of deceit he had spun. Amara took a deep breath, her voice unwavering. We are done being your victims. You may have tried to manipulate our hearts, our trust, and our lives, but not anymore. You don't get to decide who we are. Lena nodded beside her, eyes fierce. And anyone else you try to hurt? They will see the truth, just like we did. Daniel froze, powerless, trapped in the very lies he had lived for years. The confidence he had worn like armor was gone. The man who once commanded hearts and trust now stood exposed, stripped bare by the strength of the two women he had underestimated. Amara and Lena walked away together, leaving Daniel behind in the emptiness of his own making. Outside, the city lights shone like a promise of freedom and a new beginning. Amara felt her chest rise with a sense of triumph she had never known. The nightmare had ended. Not because Daniel was gone, but because she had taken back her life, her power, and her voice. And in that victory, Amara realized something profound. Strength isn't born from love or gifts, it's born from surviving betrayal, facing the storm, and refusing to be broken. The world didn't end, the chaos didn't vanish, but Amara had risen, and that was more than enough.